everyone, and welcome back to First Sip here at Elevated Beer, Wine, and Spirits. I'm Matt, this is Tom, and today we want to get funked up. That's right, we are going to be tasting some beers from Funkwerks Brewing in Fort Collins, Colorado. Tom, tell us about Funkwerks, the brewery, and what we're going to be tasting today.
Yeah, cool. Smaller brewery out of Colorado, as you mentioned, newer to Minnesota distribution. They have a full lineup of Belgian-style ales. I thought it would be good to take a closer look at.
Yeah, so tell us about what we're going to be tasting today. We've got Tropic King Imperial Saison Ale. So tell us about that, Tom.
Yeah, so Saison is kind of a bread and butter Belgian-style ale, very straightforward, showcases the Belgian yeast, refreshing. This is an Imperial Saison, so a little bit higher alcohol, as we know, with the Imperial style. 8% on this one. Saisons can typically run in the 4 to 6 range, so 8% is some extra punch here.
Yeah, and so Tom, for people that aren't familiar with Belgian-style beers, what are some of those flavors that typically come across in Belgian-style beers from those Belgian yeasts that you mentioned?
Yeah, the Belgian yeast kind of profile typically is a couple different things. Clove, banana, bubblegum is a tasting note. And also there can be some black pepper.
Okay.
A little bit of the spice kind of rounds thing off. Those are some odd things. You don't feel like that's necessarily appetizing. But combined with the malt, the sweetness, once you taste one of those, all of a sudden those flavors are going to start coming out and you'll be like, oh, yeah, there is a little bubble gum there, or whatever, or some banana or something like that. And nuanced depth of flavors is definitely a big thing for Belgians. So, they end up being dry. They attenuate fully, so most of the sugars are converted into alcohol with these Belgian styles.
Yeah. So I will preface my first sip of Tropic King by saying that I'm traditionally not the biggest fan of Belgian-style beers. But I will say, as I get a first sip of this, it's not overly clovey. I hardly get any of those kind of banana notes that you mentioned, and the tropic flavors that come from the name of this beer really show through to me, and I'm really almost getting some peach flavors in it, which I really love peach. So as I am drinking this, almost a little bit of that bubble gum that you mentioned. This tastes a little bit lighter in the way of the Belgian flavors that I typically don't necessarily love. And it's got a lot of just those refreshing flavors. Tom, as you're sipping Tropic King here, what are some of the flavors that you're getting and looking for in this beer?
I definitely get the namesake tropical fruit. You're seeing some passion fruit, mango, as you mentioned, peach. Finishes off with a little bit of bitterness. So there's some zestiness there, almost a grapefruit thing happening. It's kind of coming together with a little bit of that bubblegum banana in the background, kind of rounding everything out to being a really kind of nice, unique, just fruit punch almost. Not sweet, but, a plethora of fruit flavors coming through on this. And as it warms up a little bit, getting more and more out of it. It's definitely something to enjoy cold and refreshing, but as it warms up in your glass towards the end, you're going to notice more of those flavor profile or flavor notes towards the end of the glass.
Yeah, again, as someone who wouldn't necessarily consider himself a Belgian beer lover, I would say that idea of building a 6-pack of these and trying them out and kind of exploring those nuances is definitely something that I would recommend to expand your beer horizons.
Yeah, there's a lot of variety in the Belgian ale, category. You can go a lot of different ways, from a very light ale to the darkest and richest beers around. We see a little bit of that in Funkwerks lineup, from a raspberry, tart light ale here, to some of the different ones featuring different elements and flavor profiles. They're all Belgian ales, but 5 very unique flavors.
So come on down, Elevated Beer, Wine, and Spirits here in White Bear Lake. We also have a location in South Minneapolis. Cheers.